If you are a man over 60 and you gave up on that part of your life, maybe years ago, and you told yourself it was just how things are now, that chapter is closed. I need you to watch this entire video. Because what actually caused you to give up is not what you think it is. And for most men in your situation, it is not permanent. You were wrong about that, and honestly, that is actually good news. Hi, gentlemen. I am Dr. Elena, a specialist in men's prostate and sexual health, with over a decade of experience helping men over 60 reclaim parts of their life they thought were gone forever. Today I am going to explain why men in this age group give up on intimacy completely. The real reason, not the one they tell themselves, and why, for many of them, it does not have to stay that way. Before we get into this, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment below telling me where you are watching from, and subscribe to this channel so you never miss health information designed specifically for men over 60. Now let me show you what is really going on. Here is something that nobody talks about. By age 65, a significant number of men have quietly stopped pursuing intimacy altogether. Not reduced it, stopped it completely. They do not talk about it. They do not bring it up with their doctor. They do not bring it up with their partner. They just accept it. And the reason they accept it is because the first time it failed, the first time they tried, and it did not work, something broke inside them. Not physically, mentally. They decided that part of their life was over. But here is what most of these men do not know. The reason it failed in the first place usually has nothing to do with aging. It has everything to do with something specific that has been happening silently in their body. And that something can actually be addressed. Number one, why men give up. And it is not about losing desire. When a man over 60 stops pursuing intimacy, the assumption is that he lost interest, lost the drive. But that is almost never what is actually happening. What is really happening is fear. The first failure, the first time a man tries to be intimate, and it does not work, creates a wound that most men never recover from on their own. Because in that moment, the thing he feared most actually happened. He failed in front of the person whose opinion matters the most to him. So his brain starts to protect him from that feeling. It tells him, do not try again. Do not risk it. And he listens. Think of it like touching a hot stove as a kid. Your brain learned to avoid it. And it keeps protecting you from that feeling for years, even when the stove is no longer there. I had a patient, 70 years old, who told me he had stopped trying completely at age 64. He said the last time he attempted, it did not work. And after that, he just never initiated again. 6 years of complete avoidance. Not because he did not want intimacy. Because the fear of repeating that moment was too much. Number two, the silent cycle that makes everything worse. Here is what nobody explains to men going through this. The avoidance does not just affect your relationship. It makes the physical problem worse. Your body needs regular function to maintain the health of the tissue and blood flow in that area. Think of it like a muscle you stop using. It does not just stay the same, it weakens. So when a man stops trying because he is afraid of failing again, the lack of function actually causes more physical decline, which means the next time he does try, if he ever does, it is even harder. It becomes a cycle. Fear leads to avoidance. Avoidance leads to more decline. More decline leads to more fear. I had a patient, 66 years old, who had not been physically intimate with his wife in over 4 years. He told me he avoided all physical contact, even holding hands, because he was terrified that any closeness might lead to a situation where he would have to perform. Number 3, what is actually happening in the body that started all of this? Now here is the science behind why it failed in the first place. And this is the part that changes everything. For most men over 60, the first sexual failure is not caused by low testosterone. It is not caused by stress. It is caused by chronic inflammation in the pelvic region, specifically inflammation connected to the prostate. By age 60, over 50% of men have some level of prostate inflammation. That inflammation narrows blood vessels. It restricts circulation. And when blood flow to the pelvic region drops below a certain point, function fails. Think of it like a river that slowly fills with sediment over years. One day you look at it and the water is barely moving. The first failure felt sudden, but the inflammation that caused it built up silently over years. With no symptoms, a man would notice until the moment it affected his ability to perform. If you stopped trying years ago, if you accepted that this part of your life was over, and this is the first time anyone has explained why it actually happened, hit that like button right now. Comment below. You do not have to share details. Just let me know if you are hearing this for the first time, because you are not alone in this, and you deserve to know that. Number 4. Why this gets worse with age but is not actually caused by age. This is a critical distinction that most men never hear. Aging does not cause this. Inflammation does. Aging creates conditions where inflammation builds up more easily and is harder for the body to control on its own. That is the difference. Which means the problem is not your age. The problem is the inflammation. And inflammation is something that can be addressed. It is not like changing your height or going back in time. It is a biological process that responds to intervention. Think of it like rust on metal. Age makes rust happen faster. But you do not have to accept the rust just because the metal is older. Number 5. Men who gave up and found a way back. I want to be clear about something. I am not promising miracles, but I have worked with men who had completely given up on intimacy for years. Men who genuinely believed that part of their life was finished. And some of them found a way back. Not all of them, but enough that it is worth paying attention to. I had a patient, 72 years old, who had stopped trying at 65. 7 years of complete avoidance. He came to me convinced nothing could change. When we identified that the root cause was chronic pelvic inflammation, and we started addressing that directly, over the following months, things began to shift, slowly. But they shifted. He was not expecting it. He had accepted it was over. It was not. Number 6. Why deciding to try again is not enough on its own. Here is the part most men do not expect to hear. Wanting to try again, making the mental decision to stop avoiding, that is an important step. But it is not enough by itself, because if the inflammation is still there, the physical function will not fully respond. The psychology and the biology have to be addressed at the same time. Think of it like trying to start a car with a dead battery. You can turn the key all you want. The intention is there. But the engine needs power to respond. The decision to try again matters, but the body has to be ready to support that decision. And after years of decline, that takes more than just willpower. Now, if you are one of the men who stopped trying and you are still watching this, that means part of you has not given up. That part matters. And here is what some men in your situation have started doing. Over the past few years, research has examined specific natural compounds that support the body's ability to reduce chronic pelvic inflammation and restore healthier blood flow. These are not medications. They are nutritional compounds that work with your body's own systems to address the inflammation that has been building up silently. Some men over 60 have started using these compounds as a way to prepare their body before they start trying again. Not as a replacement for the mental shift, as support for it. Because when the inflammation starts to decrease and blood flow improves, the body becomes capable of responding again. And that is when things actually start to change. If you want to understand more about the specific natural compounds being studied for pelvic inflammation support, and how men who stopped trying years ago are addressing the root cause, I have left detailed educational information in the description below this video. This includes what the current research shows, how these compounds work with your body's systems, and why some men are seeing changes they did not think were possible. This is educational content only. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. And here is the last thing I want you to take away from today. The men who actually see results are not just addressing one piece of this. They are looking at inflammation, circulation, sleep, stress, and the relationship, all of it. At the same time, no single change does everything. But when you start addressing multiple pieces together, the results are completely different than addressing just one thing alone. So here is what I need you to do. If this video gave you something you did not have before, if it explains something you have been carrying in silence for years, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to show this to more men who need to hear it. And drop a comment below. Tell me, did you ever give up on this part of your life? You do not have to share details. But if you did, let me know you are here, because other men watching need to see that they are not the only one. Subscribe to this channel. Every week I am releasing content that is built specifically for men over 60 who want real answers. I am Dr. Elena. You have not run out of options. Take care of yourselves, gentlemen.